Welcome to Uncorked and Uncut, Email Marketing Friends at Home, a vodcast with a new guest each episode, and your hosts, Kath Pay and Ryan Phelan.
Welcome, everybody. This is, something episode of season 2 of Uncorked and Uncut, the vidcast where we sit down with industry professionals and friends and talk to them about what's going on with their lives and give you kind of a behind-the-scenes look at who they are and what makes them tick. We are all thrilled, and by all I mean Kath and I, to be joined by Gretchen Scheiman, a longtime veteran in the space, thought leader for as long as I can remember, and a very dear friend to both Kath and I. So Gretchen, thanks for coming to the fun.
I noticed you didn't say that I was thrilled to be here.
No, she's being forced against her will to do this.
Twist my arm a little bit.
Yes.
This should be fun, though. I really am looking forward to it, and I love spending time with both of you. So this is a nice opportunity to do that.
Cool. Well, excellent. Where are we all broadcasting from? Because this is not my backyard. This was what my backyard will look like in about 9 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a really nice tiki touch you've got going on there.
Yeah, got a tiki, like a palapa, and got the pool going on. I am in just outside of Houston on a little
nice.
little 6-day vacation, socially isolated. So that's the way. Kath, where are you, for God's sakes?
I am in Antigua.
That is gorgeous.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I'm in what's called Jolly Harbor in Antigua, and across the road from me is the most exquisite beach. Gorgeous.
Oh,
Absolutely gorgeous. Yes.
I'm really jealous.
I am
Yeah.
so glad you got away. That is fantastic and beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's really, really nice here. And unlike, I've said this to Ryan on his Facebook post when he sort of gloated about his residency right there, right? I said, I wish we had places as nice as that in the UK to staycation. And we do. I mean, we have beautiful places. They just don't have that kind of like that and the heat kind of vibe happening.
Yeah.
Although it has been quite hot of late, which is really nice. And the minute I left, it started raining in the UK. So
And then it followed you
brought it
there.
with you.
Yes.
well, it's only here today, so hopefully, I don't know. We'll see.
Hopefully.
But if I run away, sort of, and end up coming back looking like a drowned rat, no.
Be watching Facebook. And Gretchen, you're in New Jersey, but where are you in that part of the world?
So I am across from the World Trade Center. I am looking down my block. You can see the Statue of Liberty. So I am in a fantastic location. I'm actually on top of an old Revolutionary War battle fort. So it's a cool area. I was hoping to be at the boat, but there's a lot of construction over there with a big high-rise going up in the area, so that didn't work out today. But this is my lovely roof deck. It's beautiful. I am happy to have the outdoor space to retreat to.
Amazing.
And it's nice.
We may call this episode the one where everybody has challenges.
Yes. The location challenges were impressive this morning. Yes.
Yes. Wow.
Yes.
That's really lovely. I didn't know you were that central.
Yeah, it's a really cool neighborhood, and it started with the Revolutionary War fort, and there's a really interesting story about how men can't ask for directions when they tried to take it over, and gained it, gave it back, all this other stuff going on. And then in the area, it got developed by, the sponsor was Alexander Hamilton. So there's just a lot of history here, and it's so cool.
Wow.
Fun place.
And so where's your boat then? How far do you have to go to get to your boat? And
It is a 10-minute walk. It is very close. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not far from the water. About 4 blocks. It's a little further to the boat, and I got to walk around the marina to get in, so that's why it's 10 to 15 minutes to get there. But
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
yeah, I know, it's really so hard.
In that part of the world, 10 minutes is like nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Where you walk absolutely everywhere because he's okay, one more block to go.
yeah, exactly. So you asked what kind of boat I have. It is, oh, there comes the sun. This is going to be interesting. It's a racer cruiser sailboat, which means that it is uncomfortable to sleep in and uncomfortable to sit in, but it goes really fast. And you could do both. So it's a lot of fun. And I have been having a great time teaching my kids how to sail with my husband. And so it's just a good boat for us.
Wow. What size is it?
It is 27 feet long. It's a J27. If anyone watching knows boats, then they'll know J boats and J27s. And if you don't, then that's an American manufacturer and the boat's 27 feet long, and there's the name. So
Yes.
Yeah. Easy.
And that's
Yeah.
one thing that Gretchen and I have in common is with John Caldwell. I had a boat out in Southern California, and so we're hopefully when all of this is over, we will get Gretchen to come out to SoCal and go sailing with us on. We've got a 30-foot Cal.
oh, that would be amazing.
And it's more of a cruiser, so it's more of a let's just go take a sail and and then
So
we can sleep on it when we're docked at the island at Catalina. So
Yeah.
It's comfy but slow.
comfy. It does top speed's about 7 knots.
That's not bad. Although for a 30-foot, that's about what I would expect.
Yeah.
We've done 10 downwind with the spinnaker up, but that's truly we're hydroplaning at that point.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't
And
know.
there
John
goes
took
the sun.
John took put the spinnaker up earlier this year, but I don't know what his speed was. But
Yeah.
I'm going to assume it was above what our cruising speed is. So
Usually.
So let's jump into telling people who you are, where you work. I'm going to intro this section with I have been lucky enough to work with Gretchen on 2 separate occasions with 2 separate companies. One was with my wife. When she was at her company, she retained me to do some work, and I thought of the smartest person I knew to come help me, and Gretchen was on her own at the time. And so I brought Gretchen in to help me with this huge project. And in the middle of the project, I'm talking to my wife about it at dinner, and she remarks, she's like, Gretchen is so smart.
Oh boy.
And I said, well, honey, what about me? She says, well, honey, you're really good, but she's really brilliant.
Oh no. And we're still friends.
And we're still friends. And I'm like, that is so unfair.
It really is.
It's true, but it's so unfair. And so that's kind of some fun history. So Gretchen, what have you done? You worked at Ogilvy, you've had your own shop. You're now at LiveClicker. Give us kind of the top level view of your career and in this funny email space.
So I started on the brand side. I worked at American Express for close to 5 years, and then flipped to publishing, back to financial services. So I had a good 10 years client side. And then I was kind of getting tired of getting my budgets yanked and then twiddling my thumbs waiting for more budgets so that I could do something. And so when I got the call from a recruiter to go to an agency, I thought this will be great. If the budget's yanked, I go to a different client. There's no problem here. And it doesn't quite work like that, but it's not too far off either. So I was at Ogilvy for about 5 years and just really enjoyed it. And when I left there, I went out on my own, did consulting for another 7 years, and then really decided that, kids are expensive. Very.
I've heard this.
Good schools in my area are expensive, and if I move, I don't have a 10-minute walk to the boat and a 20-minute commute or whatever.
Right.
So that's just not an option. And so I thought a steady paycheck would be a nice thing, and I really wanted to go small. I love small to medium-sized companies. They bring just amazing energy, and And so I started looking and trying to see what was out there, what could be small, what could I do. And ultimately I saw a post on LinkedIn from Justin Foster saying, there's this role, I need somebody to be the marketing director for LiveClicker. And I said, that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote back to him on LinkedIn, and little did I know, but there's a team that is out in the Philippines. They're awesome, and they handle his LinkedIn social stuff at the time. So I don't know that he actually saw my email first, but I wrote in, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
I got the interviews, and it's all worked out. So
That's
good
great.
stuff.
And you have a team of how many?
So my team for LiveClicker is currently 4 people plus myself.
Mm-hmm.
I am taking on more responsibilities by the time this airs. That might be official, hopefully. And so I will have a much larger team and be working across all 7 brands in the CM Group portfolio. So
That's
big
great.
shift and super exciting work and just amazing people. It's I feel so fortunate because I just get to work with really great people. The culture at this place is phenomenal. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel very lucky.
So Gretchen, just for those that aren't aware, so LiveClicker is now part of the Campaign Monitor Group. So do you
Yep.
want to list brands that are included within that group?
I would be happy to. So Campaign, or CM Group is what it's called, and it really did start with Campaign Monitor, which is an ESP, competes with MailChimp and Active Content and Aweber and all those. But also in the group, we have Emma, which is an amazing brand that has been known for content for years, does a really good job, and there's sort of a next step up. We have, let's see, I'm gonna forget one in any list. That's my golden rule, is you always forget one, so I'm gonna try not to. So we also have Delivra, which is a marketing automation platform for the small to medium business segment. They have a huge following in the Midwest where they originated out of, a really great product as well. We have Future, which is a niche ESP serving legal and professional services communities, and they just have a lot of heart in that community. We have Sail Through, which is a phenomenal brand. It's the ESP you haven't heard of and should have. They do amazing work. They are known for personalization, and every year they come out with the Retail Personalization Index, and that is a way, it's a very very quant-based process that goes through and says, how are retailers doing at personalization in email and across other channels? And we get tons of calls from retailers who are not clients who say, how do I get a better score? What is this thing? I want to do better at personalization. So it's a really good tool for them. We also have CM Commerce, which is a small commerce solution, e-commerce solution. And let's see, that I didn't count. So hopefully I hit all 7. LiveClicker would be the last one that I mentioned. Yeah. And LiveClicker is not an ESP. It's sort of a little bit off to the side from everyone else. We work with all ESPs, so it makes it easy. Our biggest competitor is MailChimp. Movable Ink.
I was gonna say, hold on, I gotta reset.
Movable Ink. It begins with an M. See, any list. So there's the golden rule in action. Movable Ink is our biggest competitor, and frankly, we do personalization within content in the email. So at the moment of open, what you send to your customer can change. So if your store is, open today and closed tomorrow, and God knows that's true lately, then that message could be replaced in your email so that you're not giving your customers wrong information. And you could even have a map that shows, all your locations and where you are and how they're working, and your customers will see that updated with, who's available for buy online, pickup in store, who's completely open, who is, not open right now, but at least you can order from them or something. So it's great stuff.
So Gretchen, with LiveClicker and a lot of the ancillary technologies, this is my personal opinion on how I've read the market, is that back when Responsus and ExactTarget and Cheetah were all vying for business, there was a lot of innovation at a huge scale. I mean, if you looked at Responsus or ExactTarget, they were going head to head for ad technology and data sciences and all this stuff. And there was this boom of innovation. And then when the top, and that all kind of trickled down into the lower ESPs.
Sure.
When those two or three big powerhouses got bought, innovation stopped really in the industry. And what I think you saw was the ESPs trying to solidify and stabilize their business, but that came at the expense of not only a lack of innovation on their side, but these third-party companies like a LiveClicker that came up to meet the challenge. And so now you have at the center of the ESP, which has become almost just a pipe, a sending engine. And around the ancillary of it is these companies like LiveClicker. And so when you look at the marketplace, is that what's going to dominate? Is these external companies that are really making email more rich, or is it does it put pressure on the ESP to innovate once again?
I'm seeing pressure on the ESPs. I agree with you. For years, they stopped. It was almost like they had to do a lot of M&A action to consolidate in the industry and to get their houses in order, because that's sort of what happens. But what I'm seeing now is a lot of niche companies similar to LiveClicker, where they have a very specialized service that does something really cool, being bought and snapped up by Cheetah, by Oracle, by all of them. And they're buying them up now and starting to specialize again and expand and go into different areas. I'm also seeing a push towards verticalization, but there's some resistance to that because it's hard to verticalize well. And then what do you do with the rest of your base? You don't want to ignore them or send them away.
Right.
So there's sort of a mix there.
Do you see an increase? Do you see an increase of those smaller companies because of the fluidity of the M&A market?
Yeah, although I'm sure that COVID is going to put a damper on it for a little while. But pre-COVID, absolutely. I was seeing a ton of these pop up, more than you could even keep track of. And you'd almost find out about them after an acquisition sometimes and say, wait, what do they do? And okay, that's in this area and not over here. And but they were bought. So.
But the problem has, and you touched on it, Ryan, I think the problem always has been the integration of them into the ESP. And some ESPs have managed to do that well, very, very few. Most of them, so you end up having that clunky. And for me, that's why I like that. At Holistic, we actually did a report on this. We did a survey and everything. We found out, we surveyed the marketers. And what we did was we found out that the big cloud-based ones who they've gone and done all the acquisitions and they've done all the integrations. They're very powerful, but the people tended to not be as happy with them because of the acquisitions and because of the integrations and being a bit clunky and everything like this, right? So the actual report ended up finding that the more purest of a ESP, right, such as a sell-through, right, so the more purest of an ESP would actually be better, and then you can choose which product you want to be hooking in. And of course, all of these ones that are coming out, they're designed to actually implement and integrate really, really easily into that ESP. And so that way you actually have the best of everything because you have something that you have chosen, as opposed to I've got a cloud, account, and this is the tool I have to use because it's part of it. We're paying money for it, but it's actually not that good.
Yeah. There is a tension in the marketplace where people will say, what's growing right now are the all-in-ones. That's what's growing. But you're right. They're not as useful for many people, because a lot of people, there's always been that tension where people want the bells and whistles, but they never use them. We're all familiar with that in the email industry. This is just sort of an extrapolation of that to a larger scale. I want all the bells and whistles for email, plus I want all the bells and whistles for all the ancillary channels, mobile and social, and, just integrate all of it and throw in a landing page for me as well. And they don't necessarily use it, but that's what they're saying they want. And so it's how do you develop so that you fulfill the wish list while not compromising on the execution of it.
Yeah.
And
I would say that CM Group, and I've talked about this for years, is if you look at the history of this space over the last 20 years, what you've seen consistently is that upon acquisition of a company, the core values or the core strengths of that company diminish. The marketing diminishes, the thought leaders in the company leave, the executives leave, the spirit of the company leaves, and that dirties the water for that acquisition. And you can almost guarantee on 18 to 24 months of absolute chaos and lack of innovation at any company that's acquired in the space. With that, though, there are some exceptions. And I would say that Cheetah Mail is probably one from their early days before Experian and then getting acquired by Experian. They just were, they kept at their core business and delivered what they were going to deliver, and there was still innovation, but they kept going. And I think CM Group actually, and this is not an endorsement, but I think CM Group has done the right thing in what you're describing, which is let's focus on the integration points. Let's not focus on making an all-in-one. Rusty Warner from Forrester talks about this all the time, is that the key to selecting a vendor is the integration to your other subset of pieces, so the all-in-ones don't necessarily work. So I actually think that CM Group has done a fantastic job at not chasing the all-in-one model, but chasing the integration model, which is actually what needs to happen for most marketers.
Yeah, they definitely need that. It can be a hard sell, though, especially down market, where small and medium business, you don't know what you need, you don't have players already, so you're sitting there saying, maybe that'll work for me. So it's an education process, and it's a pendulum, it swings back and forth.
I think from the purchasing side of things, they go, oh, we're only dealing with one. We only have to, do one process, everything like that. Vet the one company. It's all great. Makes it easy. So from the budget holders' perspective, it's great. From the actual user's perspective, they think, oh yes, all in one. It'll be easy. It will be fluent. And it's not until they actually access it, then they go, oh, it's not as good, right? So yes, it is a hard sell to do that, but
yeah, I agree with you, though. It's a far better story to say, look, we can integrate with just about anyone. We're in the cloud. Pick who you want, pick who works best for you, pick what you need, and stop paying the penalty for having a lot of stuff that you don't need and having most of it not work the way you want it to.
Yeah.
So
let's go ahead.
Oh, I've got a question for Gretchen. Okay.
Sure.
So going back on your, what Ryan was saying,
and there's a boat.
There's a boat.
That's not a backdrop?
It's not a virtual screen.
It's not a virtual backdrop, no. Yes, so you're brilliant, and I've always admired you. Like your name is always about, oh yeah, Gretchen,
I'm blushing.
I have the privilege of going to be hosting a webinar with you in a little while, right?
I'm really excited about that. Yes.
But my question here is, why don't we see you more on stage? Seriously, that's what I'm like. Listen, you are so brilliant. You have so much information. You have so much knowledge. and yet we hardly ever see you on stage.
Well,
Am I
I will say, my boss is saying the same thing, I'm sure, because
Oh,
I know
really?
he'll watch this. He will. So thank you. I am sure he will. I was starting a grand tour right as COVID hit. So there you go. Definitely not happening now. And frankly, for the time when I had my own company, I couldn't justify the expense. The value exchange wasn't there for me.
Right.
And I think that now that I am vendor side, there's more value in it to justify that, but not necessarily as many venues. And when I was agency side, it was sort of a, quasi that
Yeah.
we never really got a lot from it. So really it is about a value exchange. And I have fun doing this. It's not something that I look to do, and I don't want to be on the road 100 days a year or 300 days a year like Ryan. And
I don't
I've
either.
seen your schedule. Yeah,
Mine used to be insane.
yeah. So I have kids. I like seeing them at home. They're getting old enough they don't like seeing me anymore though. So I may wind up on the road a bit more now that as soon as the current pandemic ebbs and goes away. And
So Erica was funny. We were talking about travel and all this stuff because she was with her current agency. She was doing quite a bit of travel, and then I was doing my travel and stuff. And we were remarking the other day. She's like, "I really hate it when you're gone, but it is kind of nice when you leave." And when is this COVID going to be over so you can go take a trip and I can go take a trip?
What do you mean
that's
she likes it?
fantastic.
What do you mean she likes it when you leave, but she doesn't
Well,
like it when
because
you're gone?
so she likes that I'm not in the bed snoring. She likes the kitchen to be cleaned all the time and not making, because I make huge meals. And then
You do. Holy cow.
she likes being able to park in the middle of the garage because my car is gone.
Ah,
It's the little things in life, isn't it?
really, it's all about the parking space.
It is. It is. But she especially likes that there's not a huge mess in the kitchen every time I cook.
Yeah, but then she's also missing out on all the delicious food that you cook.
She does, but then she just, she hates dishes.
I don't blame her. I hate dishes. Don't
Yeah.
you do the dishes?
Huh? No.
Good answer.
I cook, I don't do the dishes.
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. So tell
Well,
us.
I have kids. I try to make them do dishes. That sounds
Yeah.
fair to me.
Exactly. You have little minions.
I try to make them cook too.
That's important. I can't stress. I was talking to a friend the other day with kids and about your kids' age. And I was like, teach them how to cook. Teach them how to prepare a meal and read a recipe and get through that. I said, that's just so important for later in life to be able to do that and stay healthy and just, not do takeout and pizzas and macaroni and cheese all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So Gretchen, tell us about your children then.
So I have two. They're both boys. They are 11 and 13, and you can add a half to both of them because my 11-year-old will be 12 in October and the 13-year-old will be 14 in December. My oldest is starting high school this fall. That is a very difficult decision about whether to send him full-time, to send him to their virtual or to keep him home, and then he can't participate in the reindeer games, whatever those are that they're doing.
Right.
Fortunately, the high school is across the street, so I don't have to worry about mass transit on top of that. It's literally across the street.
Wow.
When I moved in here, one day I walked in and I started crunching in my vestibule, and I said, well, what's this? And I still had sun glaze and glare in my eyes, and so I couldn't really see. And I started unlocking my door, and I looked down, and there's this ball. And I'm like, didn't know I owned that. And then I looked over, and there's, through the side light window, there's a ball-shaped hole.
No.
It was a highlight ball from the school. They had literally whipped it, and I'm sure it wasn't on purpose at all. There's a fence there, but it was perfectly through the side light.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was hilarious. I'm like, oh, that's what's crunching. It's the glass. So the school is literally across the street, so that's easy. And the younger one is going to be completely virtual, but they might do a playground program. So I'm all excited about that because it'll get him out and socializing, and we
Yeah.
all need to be out and socializing, which is part of the reason Erica probably wants to send you away.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yes.
Very much. So how have you been with COVID? I mean, you're in New Jersey. New York, Manhattan was a hot spot for the early stages of this, and thankfully is on the far side of, you know, the other side of it. How was living in New Jersey and from the, in essence, out your window?
Yeah, it really hit home. We were the first in this country, so we had some learnings from seeing what other countries went through, but we didn't know. We were making up the rules as we went along. They're, you know, not getting a lot of direction from the, you know, the leaders of the country, and frankly, not getting a lot of direction from the leaders of New York initially. They've stepped up since then, and I'm truly impressed and grateful to have them doing what they're doing. But early on, there were a lot of bad decisions. And so I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, just stay this way. I don't want to go back to the office yet because it doesn't feel like the safest way for me to play. And, you know, I'm nervous about kids going to school. It's all, you know, you're constantly making choices about what's safe, what's not. And that's constantly changing as things improve. And I'm happy they're improving, but it's a constant shift in, okay, here's what my choices are this week versus last week or next week. So
yeah, I know when I came, well, when my friends heard that I was coming here, they were like in shock. They're going, what, you're traveling? But the way it works here is that they've tried and tested different ways, and they've gone with the way which I thought they should have gone in the first place, and that is you can't board the plane unless you have a COVID negative certificate. So you've gone and had your test.
Nice.
And so you go and show that, and then again, you can't enter the country without it. So it gets checked at 2 points. We were in a total, as Brian knows, we're in a total panic because my partner didn't get his, you know, until the morning that we were flying out. So it was like, oh my goodness, you know, are we going to be able to go? But because of that, then, I mean, we're still wearing masks on the plane, and even here, when you go out, you still wear a mask, even though there's no community, there's no community cases at all. There's a couple left of imported cases from this, so back at probably, 6 weeks ago or something. They had it so that anyone could come. So America was bringing the cases over here, but they quarantined them straight away. So it's about being informed, isn't it? And making decisions and sort of going, okay, is this a good thing? Is this safe? Yeah. And also for us, Antigua is on the list where we don't have to quarantine when we go back too. Because some countries are on the list where you have to quarantine. So yeah, it all works out well.
And see, that's been for Erica and I. So I think I've talked about this in past episodes. But Erica's wife, or Erica's in-laws, or use the words you know. Erica's parents live with
your in-laws, yes.
My in-laws, her parents. Live with us, and we've had to be extremely careful. We haven't gone to a restaurant since March 11th. I haven't been to a supermarket in 2.5 months, 3 months. And, you know, even with this Airbnb, I don't have any contact with the homeowners. If I do, they're like 10 feet away, and we're just saying hi. We haven't left here since we got here. And it's one of those things for us, this is really still scary. This is, you know, Gretchen, to your earlier point, it just doesn't feel safe, especially when the consequence is the death or the sickness of a family member, you know, and it just is suffocating at times.
Yeah, you don't want to be the cause of that.
Yeah.
We did go visit my parents. They insisted on it. They said we're not going without seeing you for much longer. They don't handle Zoom well, so they really hadn't seen us.
Yeah.
And we got tested beforehand. Went up, didn't go to any restaurants, didn't go anywhere, stayed on their property, just to make sure that we weren't going to bring anything.
Yeah.
Of course, they're eating out, but you know,
Right.
that's everybody makes their own choices. So I will say it's eating out is something we try to do just to get out of the house. But we have picked our restaurants. There's a whole bunch of outdoor dining, but there's some areas that just are too crowded to be safe. And so we're like, no, sorry, we're not going there.
Yeah.
And then there's others that are really safe. And we're like, I'll go and sit, 10 feet away from everybody else and have a little table off to the side where the server can take stuff away and bring stuff so that there's no interaction. And this all sounds good to me.
Yeah.
But it's tough. You don't know.
I wish I could do that. I live in Texas where people are stupid.
Yeah.
I feel like I can say that because it's Texas. Let's switch gears a little bit. We're both on, Kath and I are both on vacation. You have had some amazing vacations in your life, some and taken the whole family. Give us a couple places on where you've been and what was your favorite so far?
Ooh, so I have a lot of sailing stories from Paul and I, our first vacation together. He told me, we were talking about hopes and dreams. We just started dating. And he said, I really want to sail Greece one day. And I said, let's do that. That sounds great. I'm up for it.
Oh,
I had never been sailing at this point, I think. So,
Really?
so I booked the whole thing because the person who has the least experience should, handle that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and so we get there. We had, it was bareboat sailing. We didn't have a captain. It was just the two of us. We provisioned the boat ourselves. It's a Gibbs C302. And that won't mean anything to half the audience. So let me put it in different terms. It's a 30-foot boat that's shaped like a bathtub. And so it just sort of wallows in the water, top speed, 6 knots at best.
Yeah.
Really tiny and not particularly fast. That is definitely made for cruising. So it's a super comfortable boat. And it almost had headroom below, to standing. But yeah, it didn't go very fast. So we rent this boat and we're sailing, and Paul's, going around checking things out, making sure the boat's okay, because he's feeling very concerned that he takes care of me. And at this point, I've had lessons in sailing, but I'm at the helm and I don't really know what I'm doing. And we're halfway down the coast to go to the next island. And he says, oh my God, we're taking on water. So we flip the boat around and we're trying to go back because there's no protected marina. There's we got to get back. And we're trying to get back, but the waves are hitting us and the wind is not good enough. And we can't point this boat very well, so it can't get to very good speed. We're doing 1.6 knots. Maybe we'll get there in 20 hours.
Yeah.
It's the boat will sink by then, right?
All right.
So we're all nervous. And then he's dashing up and down the, the stairs into the cabin and back up into, the cockpit and cabin, cockpit. I'm at the helm, I'll just drive. I don't know what else to do. So he comes back up, flying back up and says, it's freshwater. I think we're good. Turns out he'd burst the freshwater bladder when he filled it.
No.
And it flooded all the cabins. And we're not making any speed, so he says, okay, let's flip the boat around and we'll go to the next marina. Try to go to the next marina. It's not protected and there's a windstorm coming. So now we try to go around the island. And this whole time, he's been trying to call the marina that we originated from to say, hey, boat's bad, can you help us out? Not getting any response. So we dock at this marina, you know, we're happy that we picked a short cruise for the shakedown so that we could get this done, and we're fine. I think we had dinner or whatever, and next day go back. And they're like, "What are you doing here?" Like, well, we left 20 messages. It's like, we have, you know, water in the hold. So they clean us out. Fine, whatever. He's not happy with the rinky-dink, or, you know, group that we reserved with. He's like, why didn't we go with moorings, or, you know, one of the big ones? And I said, well, they don't do business in Greece yet, and they didn't at the time. Next day, we're starting out, and we've got everything cleaned out. And there's no water in the boat, except in the bladder, exactly the way it should be.
Right.
That's what you want when you sail, the
Yes.
water out of the boat, not in it, except where you need the fresh
That
water
was the
storage.
first rule I learned is water in the boat, bang.
Yes, exactly. So we're heading down the coast of mainland Greece, and the wind's picking up and the waves are picking up, and we're getting 6-foot rollers. And I'm at the helm because Paul's trying to reef sails and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And fortunately, it's all roller furlers, so they're all going down. We've got like a triangle out. It's like a handkerchief.
Oh my
I
God.
think. And that's it. And we're still doing 6.5 knots, and you know, which is above the boat's normal speed. So
Yeah.
so we're, you know, we're heading down, and I'm like, whee! With the tiller, whee! With the tiller. It's like, I'm having a blast, you know, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. And he's frantically going through the Greek waters, you know, book that we have that says where all the marinas are. And he's looking for one. And we had a chart that we printed out. Greece is awesome to sail because the winds are so consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Today, if you're going between mainland and the next island, which is Kea, the winds are you're going to be on a beam reach. The winds are going to be coming from this direction. Tomorrow, they'll be coming from the same direction. They get stronger, they get lighter, but they never change direction.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of Greek sailing is like that. They've just got really strong, you know, currents and wind currents right there. And so we're looking at it and like beam reach, and it's Beaufort 8, which is 40-mile-an-hour winds, and small craft advisory, you know, is somewhere between 25 and 33, I forget. But basically, we're like way out of our depth and on a boat that really can't handle it. And so we're trying to find a marina on mainland that's close so that we've made a little bit of distance because we've already lost a day and a half. And all we find is the very tip of Greece. There's a marina at Sunio. It's not particularly well protected. And so Paul's thinking, okay, we're going to have to put down 2 anchors, but we can do this. So we go into the marina, we drop 1 anchor, we're trying to set the next one, and it has to be at a 90-degree angle. And I'm in the back of the boat and he's at the front. And I say, okay, 90. And I'm shouting up to him. And he's ignoring me because he thinks I don't know what I'm doing. And that includes like the ability to check angles. So the anchor's going down at a 45-degree angle, which is not optimal. And that night, we're stuck there and it's howling. And we're hearing all these Mayday Relay, Mayday Relay, Mayday Relay, because the ferry service has stronger, you know, radios, and they're relaying the Maydays from all the boats. And so we're there and we try to go to sleep, and all night, the boat would go boom up against 1 anchor line, and then over and back, boom, and then over, boom on the other side. And it wasn't a rhythm, so it changed because the wind was coming over a mountain on either side, and so it would just vary. So we had no sleep. Next day, this boat comes flying across, beam reach across from Kea. They have to return the boat. They're late already. They have to get the boat back. It's a bunch of Brits. Mm-hmm. They are white as sheets, scared out of their lives. And so they like come racing in, drop their anchor, drag one of ours up. So we had to go and replace it. And just sort of sit there and be like, okay, breathe. So clearly we didn't leave that day either. And we're watching, there's a boat that's anchored there that is being dashed. It's dragged its anchor, it's being dashed against rocks, and nobody can do anything. Like one of the other boats that people were just harboring there goes and tries to get in it to start the engine to get it away and set the anchor again, and they can't. Finally, the owner comes flying out, like hours later, and it's just too late. The boat's been trashed, and it's just been, you know, anchor dragged, and that's it. This is the same year that one of the big ferries was leaving Paros that day, and they were all watching soccer or football on the telly, and then crashed into rocks there because the
Oh
winds
my God.
were dragging it.
Oh,
So there's
really?
just disasters everywhere. And so we had to wait 2 days for that to let up. And then we went on our merry way. We had an awesome trip. And we're going around the different islands, and we get off the island of Naxos, and we see black clouds in the distance, and they're moving fast. And we're thinking, wind, rain, bad. Paul drags up all the equipment to like lash ourselves to the boat. Like we had, you know, the life vests, but then we also had like cables that we'd brought to like hook ourselves on so that if somebody went overboard, they couldn't get far, they'd be attached to the boat.
Right.
And we're like doing all this and getting our rain gear on and everything else, and we're madly dashing about. And it went flying over us like so fast, it took 30 seconds to dump like buckets of rain on us. I found out that my rain gear had like a patch of embroidery from some logo on it, and that like leaked through. And so I had like this little splotch of wetness on my t-shirt from that. And that was it. And we just sort of looked at one another. We were like, that was it? Really? That was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
But we were so traumatized by the windstorm that didn't even have a lot of rain that we were like madly dashing about. So it was an entertaining trip.
Now, were you married at
Wow.
the time or not?
No, this was we weren't even engaged. We just took a vacation together.
Wow.
2 weeks sailing the Greek islands, and just
That's
lots
one of
of good
those that you
stories.
get done and you go, if we can make it through that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I got stranded in Mykonos for 10 days in 1986 because
Oh,
of the
wow.
wind. Yeah, the winds.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
No ferries, no planes, no anything like that. It was literally just shut down. You couldn't do anything. Because
Wow.
the winds can be so strong there sometimes. So yeah, sailing can be fun, but it's also a bit risky.
Yeah. You're a little dependent on the wind. And
Yeah.
yeah, Greek islands can be challenging for sure. But we had a great trip anyway. So I was like, this is
Oh, yeah.
fine.
Wow. Yeah,
Mykonos was
absolutely.
awesome. Everybody kept laughing at us as we went to the marinas. When you go to a marina and you've got a bareboat, you have to check in, and you give them the name of your boat and where you're sailing out of. And they're like, that's nice. And everybody, every time we checked in, they'd laugh. They'd chuckle a little. And we were like, what's so funny? And so we got back and we finally said, what does Fistiki mean? Fistiki was the name of our boat, and that was usually what prompted the laughter. And they said, oh, peanut. Because, you know, it's a peanut-shaped boat. That's not a good shape for a boat. It's really not. It's just, it means it's slow, you know? So that's just not the shape you want for a boat. And we just looked at each other. We're like, oh, God. So, so we named our boat Fistiki.
So, Gretchen, oddly enough, our time is up. It
No
feels
way.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
it feels like we just started. Gretchen or Kath, any last questions or thoughts?
No. Well, I would love to hear more sailing tales, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've got a few that embarrass Caldwell. So.
I really wanted to hear one of those.
Yes.
We could have the sailing tales. I've got a few of mine from when I was a teenager. We had a 14-foot catamaran, Hobie catamaran.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and man, I've got some hair-raising ones about that, and yeah, so we could do that.
For those that have made it this far in the video, look for a bonus feature at some point with just sailing stuff.
Yeah.
Gretchen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure and an honor. You're such a dear friend and such a just a brilliant strategist and marketer. Just so happy to have you on here. And if you'd like the episode, if you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button down below the video. Follow us on Facebook or email us at us@uncorkedanduncut.com. Gretchen, again, thank you so much. And now I'm going to go hop in the pool because it's like, I don't know, 106 down here already or something like that. I don't know. Freaking
Well,
steamy.
thank you so much for having me, and you definitely made me blush with all the praise. I had a ton of fun, and all of these are this fun, so definitely people should subscribe to this and watch them and enjoy all the fun stories. So thank you both.
Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kath. And everybody stay safe out there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gretchen.